And Alright, bro.
While he gets his shit together, welcome to the vault.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of The Vault. This is your co-host, Jason. Ooh, that one potato was nasty. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the podcast. Hopefully this works, because if it doesn't, baby. Alright, bro. Here we go. Take 3. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of The Vault. This is your host, Jason.
It's your co-host, Hayden.
And today we're going to be covering some top-notch stuff. We're going to get right into it with our first item on the list that we want to throw at you guys. I'm going to throw it at you first, bro. Iron sharpens iron, right? The importance of surrounding yourself with people that you want to be like, people that you look up to, right? People who fit your future and not your history. Let me know, bro. What are your thoughts? Talk to me a little bit about it.
Yeah, definitely. You have to focus on the people you surround yourself with. The quote is, you are the sum of the 5 people you hang around with. And the crazy thing is that people understand and know that quote is like real. Like, everyone knows the quote means something, but it's the people that kind of just dismiss the thought of it, and they're like, I understand that quote is real. I understand it means something, but I'm still gonna hang out with my friends that don't do anything for a living. They still live with their parents, or they're not pursuing anything progressive in their life. And this is more for the message of people that want to pursue something, want to go the route of being better and doing all those things. So if you want to be better and you want to have a more successful life, but you're still hanging out with those people, you have to find a way to make new connections with other people, because the more you keep yourself in that hole with all the people that are like, they just want to, if you're only playing video games, you're going to work, you're playing video games, and that's it. You're not going to the gym. You're not trying to find a new way to progress yourself in life or anything like that, and you're just kind of like stuck in this comfort zone, and you're hanging out with all those people.
Right. That's
where it's like you're going to be stuck in that bubble unless you find people that are willing to grow and willing to work with you.
In my opinion, it's a personal trap, right? If you want to learn business, surround yourself with people that know business. If you want to learn real estate, surround yourself with people that know real estate. If you want to get better at playing video games, surround yourself with people that stream every day and that play video games. You know what I mean? And do everything with the intent of thinking long term. In my opinion, that is the name of the game, bro. Like, always think long term. Don't do things because they make you happy in 2 days and 3 days, and then the following day you're back to your regular self, not doing anything. And this is like targeting everybody, but I really want to say this to like the younger people, right? Because I feel like, coming from myself too, when I was younger and I was growing up, I was used to seeing, and I was used to only the education that the people around me had. You know what I mean? Like, the moment I came across somebody else that had anything else to drop that I didn't know of, right? Educationally wise or knowledge wise, whatever we want to call it, I'd always be like, like, this guy's boring, or this guy's like a little nerd, right? But like, if you think about it, I only saw him like that because he knew more than me. You know what I mean? I just didn't know that was a thing, or that specific knowledge base that he had was like, that much on a different level. So I say that to the youngsters a lot, like, or I would like to, is surround yourself with the people that you want to be like. And honestly, it doesn't even have to be someone young of your exact same age. It can be a mentor. It could be, if you have an uncle that you really look up to, right? Like, ride with him, go and ride along, visit him at work, see what he's doing. It could be an aunt, it could be anybody older than you, it could be the old man at the corner store, right? That's selling you stuff. Everybody has something to teach you. And if you're not willing to kind of like break from your roots, because it doesn't necessarily mean, right, like that the way you were born, the way you were raised is how you have to be for the rest of your life. False. Right, so I always say, like, branch out, break some roots, build new branches.
I really like that, and I want to say, like, it's the ability to adapt and change. you know, it's kind of like you were saying, is whenever you're born, you're kind of like in this environment that you're so used to that you have this idea that you can't go out and do something different because that's all that you've known and all you've been raised in. And it's like,
Yep.
if you want to pursue a passion that nobody you know does, you can go out and find the people that do what you want to do and
Right.
start talking to them. You don't have to stay in this world of what you're so accustomed to and what your parents think that you're capable of doing. Like, you have to find the route that you think that you want to do and go out there and be willing to accept failure
Right.
and then accept the change. Like, it's going to be like this mental breakdown of like, bro, I never even thought of, like, you know, you can't even process what it is because
Right.
you've never been exposed to that.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just the ability to kind of adapt and to change. Don't stay stuck in your environment that you're in because that's where you won't be able to grow. It's
Right.
the level of comfortability too.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree with that 100%. I don't know. There's been like a bunch of times in my life where I'm gonna use school in this example, and this is just from me. This is something I went through, I experienced, and I know for a fact like it's true because I went through it. I'm not gonna say it applies to everybody, but right when I was first venturing into like the business world, and I was trying to become a little more educated on like the way business goes and how it flows. To me, right, the way I saw to get there, I was like, I need to go to school. I need to learn it. Let's go to school. It's that simple. Let me enroll. Let me take some business classes, right? And then I had this instructor or my teacher, my professor, right? He was teaching us business. He was like, oh yeah, this is an S corp, this is LLC, blah blah blah, and like these are like tax breaks you can get. This is what you can do like when you start a business, blah 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 blah. And I'm not gonna lie, like I learned some things, right? And a lot of it was like key terms and definitions, which is cool. But what do you do with that stuff? You know what I mean? It's like if somebody gives you like, here's a wrench, here's a ratchet strap, here you go, and this is what it does. And then when you go out in the real world, and you have had many times like able or opportunities to use them, you're like, I don't even know how to use them. I don't even know how to apply them, right? And so what ended up happening is like I have a really good friend. Have a bunch of good like a strong solid network that knows a lot about like business, real estate, blah blah blah. From just having 1, 2, 3 conversations, like really short conversations, I learned a lot, bro. More than I've ever learned like my whole time in school. And this is not to say that like school is not good. That's not all I'm saying. It's just you know, like expand your horizon and realize like the things that you want to know, right? The things that you want to learn, sometimes it's not where you're looking for. It's other people, you know what I mean? It's other people, though, the people that are already in the industry, the people that do have some kind of credibility to show like, hey, like this is what I can teach you about real estate. This is what I can teach you about business.
Yeah.
Right. So that's like my little take on that. I want to add.
You know, like I think another thing too is the importance of how you view and how you value things. Because, you know, when I was going to school, when I was in high school, I graduated with like a 1.1 or a 1.2 GPA. Out of like 700 people that went, like we went to high school together.
Yeah.
Out of all, I was like 660. Out of like, you know, we had like 700 kids or something.
Yeah.
Like that. Bro, that's like, that's pretty close. And the only reason why I passed is because I actually tried at the very end of like just the finals and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't value school at all. Like I didn't care. Like it didn't mean anything to me. I'd rather at 16, 17, 18, I was already working, and I would rather have been at work than been at school in the first place.
Yeah.
And then after joining the military, you know, it kind of taught me like you have to value education. And it's not necessarily valuing going to a college to get a degree. It's more like you have to value being able to learn something new, because if you're not able to learn, then you're not able to grow.
Right.
And so if people were like, you know, kind of like, well, I don't want to go to school, I don't want to do all these things. Well, it's like at one point in your life, you're going to realize that what you want to do requires studying and it requires effort to put into like learning what you need to do.
Right.
So now it's a little different. Like now I'm in college. Now I'm, you know, going to be a helicopter pilot. Like I already have a couple licenses, whatever. But if I didn't value school like I do now because of the lack of effort that I put into school in the first place,
Right.
I don't know where I would have been at, because if I already valued school, you know, I don't know if I would be, you know, even better than where I'm at now, because I would have that training or like, you know, that education or the understanding of how to study or whatever. Yeah. Or if I'm better now because now I put more effort into it and I understand it's more important than I thought it was prior to, you know.
Man, that's a good point, because like I'm gonna tie two points into this one, right? the importance of having like good friends or good people around you. I'm gonna say I was blessed enough to have the right people like in when I entered high school, friends that were kind of like sharpening me by saying like, bro, oh, why don't you didn't do your homework? Nah, fuck that. Like, why am I gonna do my homework? Like I could just pass the test or something, right? Sometimes I did, sometimes I didn't. But I didn't, like you said, I kind of didn't see the value of it at the time. I was young, I was naive, right? And then, but I did have friends, like some friends that were always sharpening, like, bro, you should do your homework. Oh, look, bro, I got like an A. Oh, look, bro, look at my grades, like they're solid. And I was like, damn. I was like, honestly, like it's kind of nice, it's kind of nice. I want to see if I can do that,
Yeah.
And then eventually, and then I even like when I met my wife, my girlfriend at the time, she was all about grades. You know what I mean? And I was like whatever, right? And then she started questioning me, like, oh, like, why don't you stay after school then to learn this a little bit more, like, or one of this. And that's like those kind of people were sharpening me, right? Because I'd go home and I'm like thinking about it, like, should I try a little harder? Have I been slacking? And it is, like that meant a lot. That the school meant something, but I was making it not mean nothing, and I was hurting myself. You know what I mean? And I think like if I didn't have those certain friends, certain people that were sharpening me, kind of questioning like, hey, why don't you care as much, or why aren't you doing this, or blah blah blah, like, then I probably would have taken a different route, like, right, like my knowledge base now or what I know now, like even apart from education, would have been limited. I feel like way more limited than what it is today. So that's why like I bring that point up, like it's good, the importance of having a good friend or two or three, or like people like that question what you do, not necessarily challenge you or tell you, like, even if you drop like, let's say, a good idea, like you want to start a business, like, oh bro, I want to start a business, right? They're not knocking you down, because there are those kind of people, right? That will knock you down because they're hating, right? Or because they're jealous because you remind them of something that they can't accomplish. But like a good friend that sharpens you will ask you the real questions, right? Because when we come up with business ideas, and I'm kind of teeing off here, but when we come up with business ideas, it's exciting, right? And that's what you think of first. You think about starting it and what you can get from it. You don't even think about the things in between sometimes, because we get so excited. But like a good friend or a good person, right? Or a good acquaintance in your circle will tell you like, well, have you thought about this, right? The logical questions, the pain points that is going to come up, can come up. How are you going to react to that? How are you going to compete with this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Those are the questions that matter though. But anyhow, like the importance of having, like you said, like someone to sharpening you, and the value of having like appreciating knowledge and education.
I want to backtrack to that's crazy that your wife, and it made you feel like you needed to study, and it held you kind of a little bit more accountable to how hard you are. But I never had that. My friend group was like the party, high school party group. The people that like, bro, I went home, I never did homework in high school. I don't think I ever did homework in high school. I mean, I played sports, so I was like a little bit into sports, like a little bit after school. But other than that, like I did not focus on like education at all.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that you say that, because I feel like I've always had like the mentality of like, am I doing enough, like kind of thing. But I never put that mentality towards school, because I didn't care about school. So when it came to sports, I was always pushing myself. But when it came to education, so I wonder if I if I had that friend group, if that would have
things would have been different. Yeah,
and then it's also like the hardest part with all that too, right, is once you get to a certain point in your life, and like kind of what we were saying in the very beginning is, if you want to grow and you want to progress, you gotta assess your friends. And I probably hang out with maybe 3 or 4 people, and when I mean hang out, I just kind of stay in contact with these people, maybe like 3 or 4 of my friends from high school and from before that.
Yeah.
Because, and it's not like saying that these people are bad people or anything like that. It's just like, if I'm trying to sit here and talk about business, and I'm trying to talk about money, and I'm trying to talk about like, growing myself, and this person is talking about his girl problems, his ex, his this and that, like all these kind of things. And it's just like, dude, we're grown men. Like women should be, like that's not what we're here to talk about. Yeah. Like if you need like women advice or like something like that, like I'm here for you. But at the end of the day, like this call was to talk about our future and to talk about how we got to get from A to B,
right?
What we got to do, what it's going to take. And then it's like some of these people, another reason is like you were kind of saying, like you have to be blunt. You have to be straight up. Like it's not like, to say that you're going to start a business and it's going to be easy is such a lie. And if anybody doesn't tell you, dude, if you're fat, you're fat.
Yeah.
Like if I'm not doing what I need to do and my friends are not telling me what I need to do, then it's like how loyal to those friends to me, because it's like I want the honest truth.
Yeah.
Because without the honest truth, then I'm not going to get to where I want to be.
See, that's like that's a difficult it's not, I'm not gonna say it's like subject, but like area, because I had like this kind of similar conversation like this with my wife the other day, right? Like if you have a friend that's like overweight, or a friend that's like underweight, and you tell them, hey bro, like it's okay, you know, like you're overweight, you're underweight, don't feel bad or don't feel like ashamed. That's her take. For me, I'm like, sure, don't feel bad. You're overweight, that's fine, or you're underweight, okay, but do something about it, because I care about you, and I don't want you to either, like, you know, A, have health problems, or B, be self-conscious about yourself, or like C, you know, like not be able to like even take off your shirt in public because you're so afraid of people judging you because you're too skinny or you're too overweight, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's like I agree with what you're saying, but I guess it's like, how do we how can someone be nice without reinforcing something that's hurting you? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So to keep it in the realm of having good friends, right? A good friend cares enough about your feelings that he doesn't care about your feelings. If that makes sense. If you are messing up,
that's a good.
It doesn't matter if I'm like, oh, Jason, you didn't go to work today. Maybe because you're sad. I'm sorry. Now you're not gonna be able to pay your bills. I'm just trying to be a helpful friend. It's okay. Like, no, like, dude, get up off your butt. You got to go to work. You got to do things. You have a wife to support. Like, those kind of things. You know, it's really hard because of the society that we live in today. Everybody cares about feelings. But I think as a man, you should not be caring about your feelings that much.
Right.
On the level of, you know, I'm fat. You can't tell me I'm fat.
Yeah.
It is what it... Sorry, real quick.
No, go ahead.
Because I want to clarify, like, I want to make it clear that, like, if you're happy with your life and that makes you happy, that's fine. Like, it's okay. Like, I'm not trying to push my view on anyone out there. If you want to do what makes you happy, like, do what makes you happy. But if you're in my friend group, we're calling it how it is.
Yeah. No, I like that. I agree. Like we said, if you care enough about somebody, how did it, go ahead?
I don't even know. We have to rewind. You know, if you care enough about somebody's feelings, you're not going to care about their feelings.
Yeah, you're not going to care about their feelings. That's true. No, that's true. You'll be mad at your friends for a little bit for telling you, like, hey, bro.
Sorry. Because like you said, to go off of, like, taking your shirt off in public, right? That's confidence.
Yeah.
If you go to the gym, you're going to get confidence.
Right.
If, like, you know, so it's just like, if you're caring about their feelings are like, no, I don't want to do this because I'm scared, I'm nervous, I'm worried about all these people doing this. So then you sit there and be like, okay, well, you're fat, go to the gym.
Yeah.
You go to the gym, now they're going to build the confidence to take that shirt off.
Right.
So there you go. His feelings are even better. Like, you know. And
that's true. I mean, I think it's just like a level of adopting a little logicalness. I don't know that's a word, right? But if you approach life with a lot more logicality, realism, right? Reality, instead of like with your emotions on your sleeves, then everything will be a lot easier. I feel like, you know what I mean? Because it's simple. It really is. Like you said, if you're overweight, go to the gym. Your friend who really cares about you is gonna hurt your feelings, right? Because he's being logical, bro. Your cholesterol is high. You can't breathe. You know what I mean? Like, go to the gym, eat better, right? It's that simple. You're gonna be like, why are you being like? Why do you even care about what I eat, bro? Like, blah 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 blah. You're gonna be annoyed. You're like, oh, this guy's a hater. No. Like, he really cares about you. A hater is gonna be like, oh no, you're good, bro. Like, hey, you're fat. It's okay. There's other worse things in the world that are going on. True, but the way you live your life is your world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the stuff that you do creates the world around you. To be honest, but no, yeah, I would say like adopt a little more logical sense and a little logical approach to a lot of the things that you do in life, and it will help you out immensely, right? I think as a man, I think we spoke about it before in our previous episode. It's like a strong man knows how to control his emotions. Control your emotions, right? But use a lot of your logical sense. Like, some things don't have a complicated formula. The math is really simple to a lot of the things, right? Like, you don't have to overcomplicate it. So yeah, that's why I'm saying stick to your logical sense, right? Use your emotions when needed. But if you're logical about the things and the issues that you're seeing in your life, if you're logical with the friends in your circle, and like you said, assessing the people that are around you, your life will be 10 times better. Your life will be 10 times better. Your personal development will be better. Shoot, everything will be better 360. So.
And also, don't be afraid to go ask. Don't be afraid to ask somebody to hang out. Like, majority of the people, if somebody came up to you and asked you, like, do you want to hang out? I mean, and not necessarily say, hey, do you want to go out to go eat, go do something like that, go, like, you know, the reason why, the way I can think about it is I go to the gym, right? So if I see somebody that's swole, like big body, like crazy, what an awesome physique, whatever, dude, I literally will go up to them and be like, yo, you look good. Like, what do you do? You know, what's your Instagram? Blah, blah, whatever. Like, don't be afraid to go up to talk to people, because if somebody comes up to me, which people come up to me, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, what's up, bro? Like, well, like, you know what I mean? So it's like, don't be afraid to create that new friend group either.
Yeah. I agree 100%. Yeah, I agree. I agree with what you said too about like the gym stuff, because there's been multiple times, like when I first started my fitness journey, teeing off here a little bit, right? I was like, man, like I wonder how that dude got like so big, you know, like or how's this dude that's kind of like same body style as me, like lifting that much weight, and I can barely lift the 40s or something, right? And obviously everybody has like a different like dynamic to what they do. If you're a powerlifter, you may be skinny, but you can lift a lot. If you're a bodybuilder, you know, you just look huge, right? If you're a powerlifter, you just lift heavyweight, whatever. But right, there's been many times where I wanted to ask questions, and to be honest, most of the people in that community, they don't care. Like you want to ask a question, ask the question, because like that has happened to me a bunch of times too, where right, like I'm lifting and people come up to me like, oh, bro, that's a good lift. Like, what did you do to kind of like get your squats up, get your bench up, whatever? And I'm like, oh, you know, like, and sometimes I'm like, I kind of like choke because I don't even know what to say, you know, like I used to be.
You're like, wow, is this really happening to me? People
like,
are actually coming to ask me for advice.
I feel like a celebrity, bro. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, oh, you want an autograph? No, it's fine. but yeah, you know, it's happened to me. So like, all the youngsters and not even, I mean, all the guys that are out there, all you guys that are out there, and like you're going to the gym and you have these questions and you want to get better, right? And you see the guys in your gym community, in your gym, and you want to ask them questions, and you're like, you really want to know how to get to where you want to be, ask them. Like, then I promise you 100%, ask them. If they beat you up, drop a comment in the comment section. I'll give you $100. I promise you. It's not going to happen, but I promise you, they're going to be cool. They're going to give you advice, and they'll probably like take a long rest and give you like a 10-minute conversation. Always happens to me. It used to be a bad habit, and now like I always like, if I run into people at my gym, right, I'll try to keep it sweet and short because I know they want to work out too. And I'm like, yeah, bro, you know, blah, 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 blah. Okay, man, I'll let you go. You know, you got your workout going on, so.
Yeah, you definitely gotta like time it too. Like if someone's in the middle of a bicep curl or benching, like they're literally in the middle of their sets, and you're like tapping on his shoulder.
PR, When they're hitting a PR and they're about to lift off, you're like, yo.
Hey, just go grab the bar, fucking rack it for him. Like,
I got a question real quick.
Yeah, of course that'll like get somebody upset, but you know, that's an extreme. And just kind of like what you're saying, that, you know, don't be afraid to ask them. That everybody likes to. You know, you like to give knowledge. I think that's kind of like a man's thing. A man likes to teach in the first place. Like that's like inherent as a man.
Most men like to teach. Most men. I would like to say a good man, and this is what we're trying to make you guys. Let me retract. Like this is what we want to push on you guys, right? Yeah. If you like it, this is what you should adopt, right? Most men will always be willing to teach. They don't gatekeep. There's enough room for everybody at the top, right? Most men realize that. Men, boys, you can be like, nah, I don't want him better than me. No. Your friends, your real crew, they're gonna be like, bro, I don't want you to be like me. I want you to be better. Every single one of my friends that I consider really close, right? And every time they're like, man, I want to be like you. Nah, I want you to be better than me. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it's like, you cannot compete with me because I want you to win. You know what I mean? There's no competition when there's 2 winners in a 10-person race. You know what I mean? Like, or there's 10 winners in a 10-person race. There's, you know, or 2 winners in the 2-person race. I mean, you can't compete against me because we're both going to win. Doesn't matter what time you come in. You come in 10 minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes before me or after me, right? Like, we're both going to win. That's how it is. And tying into our other topic, right? Which kind of like merges into this. Losing yourself, right? You lose yourself trying to please others, or you find yourself, right, by losing others. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I got a perfect example for that. First off, what I think it means by that is you're so you're so worried about other people, how they feel about you and what you think that they think of you. So you're always doing what's best for them and not what's best for you. And I have a really good friend that every time he does, his friends or his family need something, they will call him and be like, yo, like, I need you here right now at this time doing whatever it is. Even whenever these people treat him very poorly, but he cares about them so much. And it's kind of like disrespectful, because it almost, from the outside looking in, looks like they don't care about him as much. They're just using him. But he's so focused on pleasing those other people that he's constantly going out of his way and not worried about his life and what's the right decisions for himself. So he'll constantly be doing, errands or activities or building things for his like family or friends or whoever they are that are constantly telling him to do these things. But then whenever he asks for it in return, nowhere to be found. He gets blamed for everything. Like, I feel really bad for him, and I've tried to like tell him, like, hey, like, you got to worry about yourself. But I understand, you kind of, it's really hard, because it's almost like telling you, if you misinterpret it and you don't go about it appropriately, because you almost have to have like kind of this common sense, that realism to it. Because if your parents are telling you to do something or asking you to do something, majority of the time, like, you want to do it for your parents or for your family in the first place. But it's like, when you have to get out of this environment of doing things for your parents, and now it's starting to do things for yourself, like, you still have your own life. And I don't know, like, that's just kind of like how I kind of take it is,
No, I agree. I mean, obviously, like, up to a certain extent, like, if you're really young, right, and your parents are like, take out the trash. Okay,
this is way different. The guy I'm talking about is like almost 30 years old. Okay. Okay, we're gonna talk about discipline for like half a second. You listen to your parents. Whatever your parents tell you to do, I don't backtalk. Backtalk was not allowed. Yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am. That, like, when it comes to 18 and younger, there's no such thing as not doing what your parents want you to do because it's too much.
Especially if you live under your parents' roof. Even if you're like 25 and you're not paying any bills, you better listen to your parents. I'm glad you clarified that. Yeah, you better listen to your parents. But yeah, no. I mean, I think it doesn't matter how old you are, always be respectful. Always say yes man, no man. But, if you're under 18, adopt it. Like, don't be rude. It's not cool. It's not cool. I don't know who or when or what, right? At some point in time, people are like, oh yeah, bro, like, tell the teacher, fuck you, it's gonna be funny, it's gonna be cool. To me, that shit was always whack. She was always boring. I'd always be like, even when I didn't appreciate education that much, I'd be like, bro, can you please shut the hell up so I can listen to what she has to say, even though I'm not really listening, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
it's just disrespectful. Like, in your eyes, you're just kind of like, how can you be this disrespectful?
Yeah, when I don't do this at home with my
parents. Because you know the consequences of it. Right. You know the consequences of saying these things. And that's another topic we can get into like another time, which I'd love to get into, is consequences and discipline.
Yeah.
Because, if you disrespect a man, from a man to a man, if I'm going to disrespect a man, I should understand that there's going to be consequences with that. Yeah. Nowadays, it's, I can disrespect you. You can't do anything about it, because if you do, I'm going to sue you. So as I am antagonizing you, you can't defend yourself. You can't do anything to me.
Yeah.
Because now the court system is and I think we should get away from that. I think you should be accountable for your words and your actions.
Yeah.
You come up and say some of these things to me. I'm not saying that I could beat everybody up in the world, but what I'm saying is I wouldn't even let it slide in the first place. Yeah. So it's just, so anyway, let's go back to the topic.
So if you see him in the street, ladies and gentlemen, try him.
No, don't.
Let's see if he's passes the test. No.
Yeah.
No, I'm just playing.
I would never want to incite a fight, and I don't encourage violence. I don't do anything like that.
There's no point, man. There's no point.
There's no point, and that's why I'm so respectful too. That's why I don't disrespect others, because I know if I disrespect someone, that's what it leads to. So I don't want it to lead to that. So I'm always respectful. And if somebody's disrespecting me, right, it's a little different if it's just me. All right, I'll walk away. Like for the most part, I'll walk away. I'm like, bro, this is irrelevant. You don't know what weapon they have on them. You don't know what anybody is stupid enough nowadays to do.
Yeah, nowadays nobody wants to fight.
Yeah, but if I'm with my wife, I'm gonna be a little bit more protective. I'm gonna make sure she's more safe than I am. So if anything like that, I still wouldn't want to get in a fight, because again, you don't know what they have, and now you're putting your wife in danger or something like that. So
yeah.
But anyways,
I mean you're good. The math is simple, right? It's like peace and love, but be ready for war. It's that
Yeah,
simple,
that was a
right?
good
But yeah, backtracking a little bit. Cause see,
Yeah,
Hayden got us
tangents.
into the multiverse over here. Man, I had a story and I want to share it. I'm trying to remember what it was, but regardless, right?
About not pleasing others.
Yeah, I just had a story, but I lost it. See, because you teed us off, but it's okay. It's all good. No, guys, for real though, right? Always put yourself first, right? Like he said, obviously with your parents, respect them, give them the love that they deserve. Even if you have a bad parent, at least in your eyes, what you think is a bad parent, right? Give them the respect that they deserve. They're your elder, you know. Even if they're not your parents, your elders, give them the respect that they deserve. But as you grow up and you start adapting your own traits, right? Your own ways that you want to approach life. Put yourself first, right? Because like to that point that you were saying, like your friend that's like a people pleaser, blah blah blah. I too know some people, right, that are people pleasers, and they please the wrong people, and I feel like they please the wrong people so much that they don't even know what's going on, like when it's time to think about themselves. You know what I mean? I feel like they go out, live this world, and they're like, oh yeah, like I got you. Don't worry. Yeah. Don't worry. We're at the club. I got you. We're doing this. I got you. Right? I'll pay for it. I'll take care of it. And they go home and they're like sitting in their bubble and they're like, damn, like
I'm broke.
I'm broke. Like I don't even have my shit in order. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
And it's like it's a sad day in LA when that happens. But always put yourself first. Not only that, because like who are you gonna help when you can't help yourself? Right? Who are you gonna recharge when your battery's at 20%? You have none left to give. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like, put yourself first. Stop trying to please others. Not necessarily please yourself, but like treat yourself, right? Don't beat yourself. Treat yourself first, man. Put yourself first. And I fall victim to this a little bit, right? Because my problem is I don't please others. I don't necessarily want to please others. My problem is like if I see an issue with somebody that I care about, if I see something that's wrong with somebody I care about, I don't see them for what they're going through or what they are. I see them for what they can become or what they can accomplish, right? And in my head, I'm like, ooh, boom, 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 boom. I got all these ideas, and this person can be great. And then I start talking. And my little sister told me this, right? She was like, Jay, you need to stop talking and telling people a lot of shit because sometimes people don't want to hear or they don't care what you're talking about. And that's the truth. And I'm like, damn, like, that's true. Not everybody cares what you're talking about. Not everybody. Some people do. Not everybody. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I want to give, and I don't get, which is fine.
It's because you see the potential.
Right.
You see how capable somebody can do something,
exactly.
And then so you're trying to give it to them, and they're like, "Bro, I don't even want that." You know, and it's also it's hard to understand that because we want it.
Right.
We want it, so it's like, yo, if we're telling you you can have it, it's like because we could see how easy you could have it, like.
Right.
Anyways, sorry.
No. It's exactly how it is. It's like when you fall into that, right? Even for myself, you have set an expectation for this person because you're thinking, man, this person could be so great. And then they're not meeting I'm not going to say like, you know, the checkpoints I had for them, but they're not meeting what you expected for them.
Yeah.
Then you're disappointed. You're like, oh man, like.
Well, I would say it's not even what's expected. Like that's after you're kind of going into it with them, like saying, hey, this is what you could change, this is what you could change, and you're expecting these kind of things. It's more of the fact that it's like, bro, you don't even have to change anything other than maybe your mindset.
Right.
And bro, you'll have everything that you sit there and say you want.
Yeah.
But then you're not willing to put in the work to get it. You just sit there and say you want it, but you don't want to work for it. That, and then that's when it's like, maybe you have that conversation with them, like, hey, you could do this, and they're like, oh yeah, like, yeah, I could do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 weeks later, they're doing the exact same thing that they're back to complaining about not having it, and then they're back in their same routine. Like,
yep. And see, you have another good friend. You know this friend, and he told us, what was it? He said, he's like, some people, honestly, truthfully, they don't deserve to hear what you have to say, and that's period.
Yeah.
Right, because they'll sit there because they like the excitement of getting the knowledge. Like, oh, I was involved in a networking event. I was involved in talking about code. Or I was involved in talking about real estate and business. That's all. They like that excitement, but they're not going to put anything right into action. They're going to go back home, just like you said. They're going to sit on the couch, eat potato chips, drink some yogurt, right?
Yeah.
I don't know,
It's-
whatever. But
It's excitement and motivation. Like
Right.
it's so motivational to sit there and talk about progression and I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. Like you're motivated.
yeah,
Motivation is there maybe like 10% of the time.
Mhm.
It's all about discipline,
yeah.
right? So if you don't have the discipline in the first place, the motivation's not going to do anything for you.
Mhm.
So that's what a lot of these people where they're like, they get excited, they want to
Yeah.
have this talk, blah, blah. Then they go home and then it's just like, they don't do anything with it
Yep.
because they're undisciplined. That, that's part of like, becoming a man. And that message is like discipline and consistency and effort, like, right? Effort, discipline, consistency. Those are like the three most important things that you need to have to become successful. It's not about motivation. It's not about anything like that. Like, of sitting there and just going to get that excitement. Like,
Right.
you need
Right.
to be able to put in the work when you don't want to put in the work.
Right. And if someone is taking the time to, preach to you, give you advice, absorb it and then apply it, right? Because it's like disrespectful
Very.
for someone to sit there for an hour, like, and this is why I say, like, going back to the teacher thing, if I understand it's their job and they get paid for it, right? But some of them really, really care about what they're saying. Like, they'll go above and beyond, right? And then for somebody to, like, just go and start saying dumb shit or disrespect, like, the person, like, because at the end of the day, that teacher, though they're getting paid for it, that was their dream. They wanted to be a teacher. They work so hard. They're like, man, like, I want to teach. I want to work so hard. I want to become a teacher. Like, I want to, like, give this advice. And that's why it's worse when someone's not getting paid for it. They're taking the time to give you the advice and you're trashing it, right? And you're just indulging into the excitement. You're not even paying attention at certain point in the conversation. You're just like, key points, real estate, investing. I'm an entrepreneur. Boom. No, like
it's all
really,
about the title.
yeah, like really appreciate like what they're saying. Like, and that's why like our good friend said, like, not everybody deserves what you have to say because they don't care. They don't care.
And that kind of goes into people pleasing, right? Because if you're that person that's sitting there giving and this is something hard for me to understand, and it sounds like what you were just saying is, you will sit there and give that advice to the people that don't even want it or that won't even take it like appropriately. And that's the part where I'm trying to learn to where I'm like, you know what? I've tried this many times with you. And if you're sitting there trying with somebody to try to get them to get in the gym, you're trying to get them to eat better, you're trying to get them to chase their dreams. If somebody has a passion, they always tell you about it, and you're like, well, here, how about you do this? How about you work your way into it this way, like blah blah, and they just never do. Like, you know what? All right, I'm sorry that you don't want to take in this information. I'm sorry that I couldn't help you get there. Like, it hurts me to not see my friends succeed.
Right.
And so that's just part of like people pleasing on my side is, I will sit there and I will motivate everybody in this entire world. I will give you a speech. I will give everybody a speech of how they can make it and why they can make it. Because I think we're all equal and we are all capable of doing whatever we want in life.
Yeah.
But it's how bad do you want it and how much are you willing to sacrifice to get to where you want? And some people just are stuck in that race of.
But they also don't like that. They don't like the. Right, because they're so used to hearing the stuff at the surface, right? Like, they watch these videos of millionaires. They watch these videos of like David Goggins, and they're like, oh, like, what did he do though, right? When they realize what he did, they're like, you know what? Maybe I'm good. I'm chilling where I'm at. Like, never mind.
It's heartbreaking, bro. Like it's honestly heartbreaking to think that I have a mindset for myself of where I want to be at, and I have a mindset where I have my friends and where they're going to be at, and then when they don't put themselves there. It's like heartbreaking. It's like, bro, like you are just doing a disservice to yourself,
right?
So
like Conor McGregor says, right? Your lack of commitment is like is a disrespect to the people that believe in you, and I believe in that like hardcore.
And so to go off in a little tangent, and we can get back to it. Is one of the things that I don't think we think about anymore is we have it so easy in life today.
Yeah. That
you don't realize that you are coming from. Do you know like what the chances that we are talking in this room right now, that we were even born, that we were even doing that? Like, you gotta actually look back, like deep, but we have people that have survived. Right? How many wars? How many plagues? How many ice? Like, like at some point we've had like our last name has
Right.
been here for the entire time,
Mm-hmm.
somehow to get us to here, right? And it's like, do you really think that it's respectful and you're honoring these people that got you to where you're at today by sitting on a couch, eating chips, eating potatoes? Like, and when I mean it, I don't mean it like just the one time that you decided to eat chips, now you're being disrespectful. It's like, no, when you're sitting there and you're not progressing your life, you're having this comfortable lifestyle. You know,
Right.
it just blows my mind that
Yeah.
people don't like. One of my biggest things right now is I've been trying to look back to like where my name and like, you know, my ancestry and like where it comes from, because I want to honor them.
Mhm.
And maybe like it wasn't even a good name. Maybe like I came from a dishonorable family.
Right.
But what if I'm the person to become the honorable bird? Like I want my last name to mean something.
Right. Right.
And I think a lot of men get away from that because we're
Like-
so in a
Being proud
Yeah,
of
yeah.
your last name. It's about being proud of your last name, right? And even if you're not proud of your last name, be proud of the family, like, right? Be proud of your family, right? And like I mean that always, right? Because you are a portion of the representation of the unity that your family has, right? And I always tell this to my siblings. I don't care if we're in a fight and we go to other people and they ask about you, and I'm like in my head, as soon as like they ask me about you, I'm like, damn, like stupid, you know, like stupid. I just got in a fight with her. You know, it doesn't matter. Like I'm a representation of the unity we have in our family, and it's like, no, she's good. She's chilling. Awesome, doing great. I don't care what she's doing. She may not be doing great. Who knows, right? But adopt that mentality and just like have that pride within your last name, with your family, and like and you know better than anybody because you were in the military. You know, I was in the military. For the people that are in the military, I would like to say everybody does have some kind of pride, right? Because you're constantly wearing your family's like crest, if you will, on your chest, and it's like the things you do. And you know what's crazy? I'm kind of merging off here, but when I first joined, I didn't really think about it like that. I was like, oh, you know, like my name tape goes here, U.S. Army goes over here, right? The rank goes here. Cool. I'm just playing soldier. Until I had a mentor, a certain mentor who I still look up to, and I like to call him mentor. He probably doesn't, you know. Not he knows, but he knows exactly this person. If you're watching this, you know exactly who you are. But this person at one point told me, he was like, you know, like be proud of who you are, be proud of like the last name that you walk with every day, right? Because you represent that all the time. When somebody says your last name, they're instantly gonna think bad soldier, good soldier, high speed, low speed. You know what I mean? Like high speed internet, low speed internet, right?
Yeah.
But it goes beyond that. Like even in the civilian world, you may not wear your name tape on your chest, right? But people will know your name, right? And
Yeah.
like just be proud of that. Be proud of your name. Be proud of your family, right?
And I want to add to that is I personally wasn't like that.
Yeah.
Like whenever I would talk about, you know, how's this person doing?
Yeah.
Oh man, that person
Yeah.
did whatever. And then it was like in the military, I didn't care about my last name. I didn't care about anything. I thought it was irrelevant, anything like that.
Yeah.
There was a certain point in my life where I started to be like, you know what? This is what becoming a man is. Becoming a man is being this prideful.
Right.
Becoming a man is worrying about the important things in life.
Right.
And so the reason why I'm saying this is because I want you to know, first thing, there's no such thing as perfection.
Right.
If you're acting like this right now, and every time somebody says like, how's your brother, how's your sister, and every time you spill their information out, like, you know what, you did it. Okay, own up to it. It's cool. It's
Right.
whatever. But from now on, how about you fix it and you
Right.
say, you know what, they're okay. You
Yeah.
start to take those little steps. Start to hold yourself accountable where you haven't done these things. And that's kind of where I'm at. Like I'm
Yeah.
holding myself accountable for in the past where, you know, I would have said the wrong things, or I would have, you know, gave information
Right.
out that I shouldn't have.
Mhm.
And now it's like, you know what? No. Like,
You
be
were self-aware,
respectful.
but you were self-aware, yeah.
Be respectful, be self-aware, and then also think of it as much as you can as just what kind of image are you portraying? Like, are
Right.
you portraying like, you
For
know,
your
'cause-
family. It's 'cause,
Yeah.
and it's the sad reality is like people judge easily, bro.
Yeah.
People judge easily, right? And so like the moment you say something about your own family, you may not think about it so much, right? You may not think about it so much, like, oh, I'm not really hurting us that bad,
yeah,
right? But people will always want to see you down. Like people always want to see you. They appreciate like, oh, like look at this guy and his family. They're sucking. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like even if they say like, no, I don't enjoy this person's downfall, they do deep down inside because we're human beings and that's what we're attracted to. We want to win, right?
yeah,
But yeah, just be proud of them. Like you said, like that's cool that you bring that up, right? That's a prime example. Like you weren't like that all the time, but at one point you started adopting your own mentality of being a strong, good man, right? You became self-aware, washed, rinsed, and repeated, and here you are. So that's pretty dope, bro.
Yeah.
I like that. There's another thing I was gonna say, which was like, I know because we teed off a little bit, we moved off a little bit from the point, but man, I want to take this.
Go ahead. What's up?
I'm trying to find a good way to word it. But
Yeah.
I'll come back to it, right? But
Okay.
because we were talking about like from that merge, right? When we're talking about not pleasing yourself, but making sure that you put yourself first.
I see.
Transitioning forward, right? There's always a part of putting yourself forward. Part of putting yourself first is embracing that like fire and desire in your chest that you have, right? And getting angry to it, like why you have not made it in life. And if you have not, it's probably because you haven't been putting yourself first in the first place, right? Other people's goals are more important to you than the goals that you have for yourself. Because like you've said, and he's told me before, nobody's going to save you. And it's true. Nobody's going to save us, right? If you have depression and you go to the therapist all the time, right? Genuinely, and I know this is just my take, right? Because I have been through therapy too. As a matter of fact, I still am going through my army needs. They're like, no, you still need to go. But they don't really care about you. They don't. They have a job and they have to do it. You're lucky and blessed if you genuinely find a therapist that does care about you and actually listens to what you have to say. But the other ones are more like by the book. They're like, okay, you're showing signs of this, just do this. Go to the gym, find something to kind of fix with that therapy. But no, like if you'll be lucky if you find one that generally cares about you and has to like listen to what you have to say.
So I want to talk about mental health so much, and I'll keep it short because I do know that we were going to be talking about why you haven't made it in life and things like that. Mental health is a very serious issue, but it is it's become such a normality now of what these issues are. I think if we're talking about anxiety, depression, anything like that, if you really and there's a perfect example from today.
Yeah.
But I've gone through it all. Like I went through the military, stuff like that, and actually I understand it, and this is why I say there are some serious cases because I actually got a TBI, traumatic brain injury.
Yeah.
I hit my head and it was like really bad. Whatever. Like I got to the point where I couldn't even speak. I had very, very bad depression. I had very bad anxiety. My memory was like in and out really bad. Like I still am like suffering from my memory a little bit. But anyways, I think what this mentality thing is if you have anxiety or depression, I think it's up to you to solve it. That's your body telling you you're not doing something right. And taking a pill and getting addicted to it and then changing your ways even more and altering your mind is not the solution. If you have depression, there's something that you're not doing. If you're like, it was just like, there's this quote. It was like, if you're fat, you're lazy, and you're sitting on the couch and you're saying you're depressed, I would be depressed too. Like what, like that is your body telling you to get up, get out, go do something you love. If you're depressed working at your job, it's not because you're depressed working at your job. You're working at your job because you're depressed.
Right.
Like I don't know if that makes sense.
That makes sense.
But anyways, I think it's up to you to decide. It's not up to a pill to decide if you're depressed and anxious. And what I want to reflect back is from this morning. I was on my way here and I'm like, dude, I'm getting fucking anxious. I'm getting anxiety.
Yeah.
Like all these things. And I was like, whoa, hold up.
Yeah.
That's not me. Like I don't get that. And it's like that is what we're told in society today is that feeling of like we're getting there, we're getting excited, we're doing all these things. That's anxiety. Like no, what that is I have something planned. I have something I have to do. I want to do it at the right time. I want to do it perfectly. I want to have a good outcome and all these things. And that entire thought all at once is what we think is anxiety. No, that's the level of like, I want to do something. That's how bad I want to do it. And if you sit there and you're like, oh, I'm anxiety, so now I'm not going to do it. And every time you do something that is like on the next level of like what you want to do, it's always going to build up more and more and more and more. And because you've never done it. You've never acted upon it. And there's that level of anxiety that we call anxiety. That's not anxiety. It's just your idea of how bad you want to do something.
Yeah, that's crazy you say that because, To be honest, like it's all perspective, right? I always say that all the time. I know it can be annoying, but it literally is all perspective. Like everything means nothing until you make it mean something, right? I think there's like a quote by Shakespeare that says like, good and bad, right, means nothing, but we made it mean something, right? Because in like a different society, good would be we do kill people, or like we do steal stuff. Oh, you're a great
It's just
thief.
like red light, green light.
Yeah.
We take the red light as a stop, and then the green light as a go.
Right.
What if the red light was a go and the green light was a stop?
Exactly. So like that's what I'm saying. Like everything means nothing until you make it mean something. And even when you do make it mean something, you decide what you want to mean, right? And going back to your point, that's what I'm saying. Like it's that simple. It's that simple. And like going back to like the therapy stuff, that's why I say like I agree with what you're saying 100%. But I will say, right, like it does help when the people, the few therapists that are out there that really care about what you have to say, help you think and help you realize that it is an internal issue.
Yeah.
And you don't need meds, right? I had one like awesome therapist when I was stationed in Fort Sill, right? He was cool as hell. I remember our first day, I'll share a little bit. I showed up and I was like, man, I don't need no therapy. You know what I mean? I'm fine. I'm cool. And it was after deployment because they're like, no, you have to go to therapy. Like you have, like you're fucked up. You're mentally fucked up. And I mean, like, I don't know what I was doing that showcased that I was fucked up, but obviously they can tell or whatever. They did like a whole scan, whatever. Right. I remember going to the first day and I was like, I'm just sitting there and I was like, man, this is like so whack. It's weird. I don't need to talk to anybody. Like, man, I'm good. I'm chilling. And we sat down. I'm gonna say his name because he deserves the credit, Mr. Vance Durham. If you have him in your Fort Sill, he's the man, right? And I remember he sat there. He looked at me. He's like, Jason, we can sit here and look at each other all day. He's like, which I'm fine with. You're slotted with me for an hour. He's like, or tell me a little bit about yourself and we can start it slow. And he's like, I genuinely want to help you. And then I was like, I don't need help, right? And he was like, okay, sure, you're right, you don't need help. Let's just have a conversation. Boom, we started a conversation. Before you know it, right, he's asking me all these questions, like really listening to what I'm saying and really replying, like feeding me questions that had me like, oh shit, like maybe I am a little fucked up, like why am I thinking that this is okay, like. So if you have a therapist that genuinely cares about you, that's when I say yes, therapy does work. I will say like the medicine does its job, sure, right? There's things that will bring you down or will make you calm down, but it's not the answer, right? The true answer is, like you said, it's yourself, right? Your body is literally telling you, I'm not fine with this, and this is why I'm feeling like that.
Well, so we don't go off tangent too much because I would love to talk about this because I agree. There's a certain level where like PTSD and all those kind of things, like that's a serious thing. Mm-hmm. That is serious. I understand that. But I still think on a PTSD kind of things like that, that's a little different. That's like real issues. Yeah. But anxiety, depression, all those kind of things like that, I would love to sit here and talk
all day
about why I don't. But this is my personal opinion. Why I don't believe that we should be almost like glorifying, not saying you are, but glorifying the idea of taking medication or talking to a therapist.
No.
But anyways, so
no. I'm not saying like go take the meds. Yeah, I'm saying like maybe the meds do work, right? It's like
I completely disagree.
Well, if it's it's like when you smoke,
it's a chemical imbalance,
right? Well, that's what I'm saying. Like it actually like it does the purpose. I'm not saying like it does work. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's functional. It does the purpose that it's supposed to do, but it's not actually helping your case. Like the real case.
I don't think it does the purpose either, because I think it suppresses and it changes your own like chemicals in your own brain, like all those things. Like I'm telling you, we could go all day about this.
No. Like no, I see what you're saying. I'm just saying like what I'm trying to say is like, okay, for me, what has helped me mentally, right? Because I've been through like when I first started that journey. They're like, hey, here's the pills. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, I didn't know any better, so I was like, okay, cool, I'm just gonna pop the pills. What did it do to me? And like, all it did was calm me down. Yeah. The medicine does do its job, like it, right? But mentally, right, like you're saying, all it did was suppress me. When the wear is done, then I'm back. That's what I'm saying. Like the true like issue is internal. Like, it goes beyond the medicine, beyond like the escape drugs and all that stuff. Like the true fix is probably even it doesn't even have to be a therapist, it could be a friend, right? Speaking to him and having him like listen feed you back questions, you start answering your own issues. You start like figuring yourself out, like, oh shit, like okay.
And I want to say, you know what? I like that you pointed out for you.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to like sit there and be like, well, no,
Yeah.
because it didn't work for me, or
Yeah.
I didn't agree with it, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, if it does work for you and you
Yeah.
feel like it's that certain way, which I think it does work for you. Like,
I'm not promoting the medicine, by the way.
Now
I'm
you're
not
promoting it.
I'm not
Yeah.
promoting the medicine. I'm
But
saying,
like you're mentally healthy, you're physically
Yeah.
healthy, you're doing all these things correctly, like whatever. So I can see how you can justify it, and I can see how it helped you.
yeah,
And the reason, and the people where I say I disagree is the people that just they're not showing any sign of improvement.
oh, okay.
Other
it's
than
like
just popping
straight
pills
popping pills.
and-
Okay, I got you.
and-
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah,
And then and like I don't know, like I think there's a certain level of time frame of how long you can be depressed or how long you can have anxiety. Like your brain doesn't just produce this amount of
right.
chemicals that are just off for years and years and years.
Yeah,
At that point, that's where I'm saying it's a sign that your body's telling you. Like perfect example is if you have a headache.
mm-hmm.
Why do you have a headache? Like, is it because you're not drinking enough water?
Yeah.
Like, you don't have a headache just because you didn't take this medicine.
right.
Like, so now you're going to take this medicine to get rid of the headache, but it's not really getting rid of the headache. It's just producing, like, you know, some type of chemical in your brain. It's like,
Right.
relieving it, whatever.
Mm,
Instead of your body telling you, hey, you're not drinking enough water.
right.
Hey, you haven't eaten enough today. Hey, you haven't exercised today. Like, you know, and that's kind of like what I'm saying by it. But anyways,
No,
so
that makes sense. Nah.
to get back to the point of you should be angry
Yeah.
that you haven't made it. Damn, we went
see, we
far.
teed off bad.
But
But
I
I hope
took an exit about
yeah.
5 exits too early.
I hope y'all got something from that. Just
Yeah.
look. Point is, get angry. You haven't made it. Nobody's gonna save you, right? That's why we teed off because of the depression
Yeah.
thing. Nobody cares about.
angry,
Nobody
dog.
cares that you're depressed. Like it's sad. I'm not saying that I don't. Like if you're depressed and we're an available resource, reach out to us, right? We have our social media, all that stuff is out there. We understand it's a real thing, but what we're trying to say is like, when you want it, right? When you have this burn in your chest, this desire of like the person that you want to be, the things that you want to achieve, the things that you want in your life, and you're having these little issues. People, most of them do not care. They don't care. Nobody cares until you make it. They're like, oh shit, hi. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah. Remember we were friends back in the day, but
Yeah.
the entire time you were sitting there sacrificing all your time, and I
Yeah.
was like, you know what? No, I'm not gonna hang out with you anymore. Now that you've made it, what's up, bro? You're my best friend.
Yeah.
Remember?
I gave you an extra icy when you pulled up to the Burger King drive-through window. You know what I mean? You're like, can I drive in your Lamborghini?
Yeah.
But no, nobody's gonna save you guys. Like, but you have to believe. You have to really program your head and tell yourself, I can achieve the things that I want to do, and it's that simple, really.
You gotta, and when we say nobody's gonna save you, like if you gotta really think about that, like really try, because I don't know if it was before certain events, I never really understood what people would say about nobody's going to save you,
yeah,
right? And now it's like, if you don't go to work tomorrow or the next couple weeks, how are you gonna pay your bills?
mm-hmm.
How are you gonna feed your kids? How are you gonna feed your wife? And even if you don't have a kids or a wife or a girlfriend, how, like, you have to have this mindset now, so that way when you do have kids and a wife,
You have to worry about that.
you have to worry about that, so that way you are already preparing yourself, because your family, your mom and your dad will be there to support you, but they won't always be there to support you. And at a
Right.
certain point in life, you are going to be the person that people are going to depend on. And if you have to understand that you have nobody to depend on, because then you're going to be setting yourself up for success and
Right.
being able to not have to rely on anybody else. And that goes, and that's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Physically, mentally, financially, all these things, because you at some point in time, you're not going to be able to call up your friend and be like, hey, this guy's
Mhm.
trying to beat me up.
Yep.
You know, you're not going to be able to call your mom and dad and be like, hey, I'm $10,000 in debt. Hey, can I get a loan?
Yep.
You know, like all these things, like you actually have to think about these things and like go deep into what being on your own truly means.
Yeah, and I want to add to that because it's like, it doesn't mean, right, that there's gonna be people in your life that will tell you things, right, or like say things to you that are gonna be super impactful. They're gonna help you become the person you want to become, right? But that does not mean that what they're telling you is gonna save you. No, because at the end of the day, it's still up to you to put that action into place, right? To make something out of that impact, right? To make something out of that advice that a good friend told you or a person on the street told you, right? Because nobody's gonna save you. It's up to you. You do it. You're gonna make it happen, right?
Yeah.
Man, and like I hate to tee off, but it goes into like the manifestation thing. Like I had this conversation with my wife back to back, right? Like when people just say like, "Oh, I'm manifesting a Lamborghini," you know what I mean? And I'm gonna put it on the wall. I'm gonna look at it every day, and because I look at it every day, I'm gonna get one. Cool, right? That's like step one into your manifestation. But there's a formula. I realize there's a formula, like the idea, the plan, and like the action, and then you get like your manifestation is fulfilled, right? Manifestation is fulfilled, and I got what I wanted. I don't know a single person that has manifested someone, or actually, take that back. I know a couple people.
Very rare.
I know a very rare select people that have manifested things, right? To where
we're saying manifest.
Yeah, they had a plan, they had an idea, they wanted something so bad, but they put all this action into it, right? And they got what they wanted. Manifestation complete, right? But anyways, moving on, right? Going into like our next topic, there's a lot of people that are suffering from self-doubt while others are highly intimidated by their potential. Man, that's like what I've said kind of in our first episode, where I said our minds are programmable, very programmable, right? What we tell ourselves is really what we will achieve, right? Or how far something will get us. It all goes like in here, right? We tend to do a lot of things, and I don't know, it may be like human nature. I don't know if it's, like it may be human nature. We tend to do a lot of things and we stop at a certain point because like, no, like this is where I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what to do, right? But we need to kind of learn to like remember, like, no, like we know more than we think we know. Just keep going and you'll see. You know, like don't stop at that pain point. Just keep going and you'll see like all this other stuff you actually do know how to do, or you do know what to do, or you will come up with something and figure it out and do it.
Yeah. I would definitely say the aspect of what is it? Like discrediting yourself.
Yeah.
I feel that I'm very I suffer from that a lot. And I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing. I think it's a bad thing because it kind of can hurt your confidence a little bit.
Yeah.
And because I look at other people and I'm like, man, like why don't I have my Lambo? Why don't I have my car? Why don't I have $1 million? Why don't I have all these things? Whatever. And obviously that's a extreme. There's I can tell you why I don't have them, but with that, I'm just kind of like, I doubt myself. I'm like, man, will I actually have this? Like, sometimes I set my goals so high that I'm like, man, will I actually have these things? Like, blah, blah. I kind of get, like, nervous. I get scared to think about how serious and how big my goals are and how much I have to actually do for it. It's like, man, am I actually capable of doing those things?
Yeah.
And in turn, where it could be a good thing is because I get very afraid of two things is either not proving people right and not proving myself right. So that doubt and that level of like, damn, am I really going to make it? I think that's what fuels me to keep going even more. And like, I can never get like, we were talking about this the other day. Is like, dude, when is it time to take a break? When is it time to like actually sit down and be okay to play video games? When is it okay to sit back and watch a movie and do all those things? Yeah. Because for me, I'm constantly thinking about like, I could be doing this, and this while I'm playing video games. Mm-hmm. I'm trying, and I know it gets to the point to where you can almost overwork yourself or whatever. Like it's a mental thing. But then it's like, even then, it's like, is that an excuse? Is like me overworking myself? Is that an excuse? And I get it because then like your production level will go down, like those things. So like it is a real thing, but that level of doubt that I keep myself, that I keep within myself, keeps me going too. Yeah. So I think it's an important thing that you have to have, but you also have to know how to understand it and how to work with that doubt. Because if you're just going around and being all egotistical, like I'm better than you, I'm better than you, I'm better than you, like blah, blah, like I promise you there's somebody better than you. Yeah. And then if you're just going around saying like, oh, I'm not better, I'm bad at this, I'm bad at this, I'm bad at this. Well, it's like, I promise you're not bad enough if you're working for somebody to do that job. Right. You're probably not that bad enough if you're constantly, doing something that's in that field. You just don't have the confidence of saying that you're that decent or that good at it, You
haven't broken like a barrier. It's almost like a barrier, like a mental barrier, and you're thinking like, I'm not this good. And I've seen it like, and I know I bring up a lot of military like examples and stuff, but like I seen it. I had a soldier at one point in my career when I was in Oklahoma, right? And this is a great example. She, are you kind of like through, right? Yeah, it was a she. It was a female soldier, and I remember scratch that. It was a soldier, right? And I remember she was like crying, right? Another soldier came up to me and she was like, "Hey, Soren, like this other person's crying. They're really crying." I'm like, what are they crying about? They don't want to be here. They want to quit." And so I went up to her, right? And obviously you have to have two at the time. If you're in IT, you have to have two students, one just in case, like looking at what's going on.
This is
And
school.
as you're talking, yeah, because it was in school, and I was like, "What's going on? Why are you crying?" Right? And I came off kind of hard at the beginning, and I realized that. And she was like, like backed up a little, and I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Let me be human for a little bit." So I take a step back. I know, it's the army, right? They should be able to take it. But I was trying to be sympathetic and empathetic, right?
Well, I'll explain why.
Yeah, and but the point is, right? Like she was suffering from like major self-doubt, right? And all it took was for somebody to make her see like the bigger picture, because she was saying like, "I'm not gonna make it. I hate it here. I'm like on top of my mental instability. I have to deal with other people. Like I'm struggling to deal with myself, and I have to deal with other people, who are doing dumb shit around me." And I get it. I've been in that situation before, and I was like, "Do you really want to quit? Right? Do you really want to quit?" I was like, "I can help you quit if that's what you want. I can help you go home." Right? And I was like, "Tell me you really want to quit." And in my head, I was like, "I hope she says no." And she looked at me and she was like, right? And I was like, "Nah, not today, coach. Not today." Not because I don't get anything from her staying. You know what I mean? It's not like I get like, "Oh, here's a $500 bonus." No, because I was like, I wish if this was me, right? I wish somebody would tell me this. And so I was like, let's take a look at how far you've gotten today. I was like, do you know personally people that didn't make it in basic training, that didn't even get to where you are right now? And she shook her head yes again. Right? I was like, how does it make you feel, right? You went 2 weeks ago, you went on vacation, went home, you went on leave. How did it make you feel for your family to see you in your uniform? Right? And she was like, it was very like, I was very happy. They're very proud of me. Right? And I was like, how will it make you feel when you go back home and you tell your parents, "Oh, I'm back because I quit, because I couldn't do it." All right? And she was like, "Well, it would make me sad." I was like, what makes you feel the worst? Your mental stability here, or like you not being able to put up with other people, or like the thought of your family is like deep down, they're like, "Wow, our kid is a failure. She quit." Even though she was so ahead from other people, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I was like, there's a lot of soldiers that didn't make it in basic training that wish they would have been here where you are. They may have genuinely tried and they just couldn't because they lacked somewhere. They just couldn't make it past basic training. But you made it. You met the requirements. Like look how far you've come. AIT is supposed to be easier. You know what I mean? I was like, so now I ask you again. I'm like, do you really want to quit? You've gotten this far. Do you really want to quit? And she looked at me and she was like, no, right? She just shook her head no. And I was like, good. I was like, listen. And I was being real for a second because...
No, I like that. I like everything that you said. Yeah. I don't disagree with anything that you said. No. I like it.
Because I get it, right? Like, I get it. We're in the army. We got to be all the time, right?
We gotta add context to it because I don't think they understand.
Okay, like, in the military, like, it's expected for everybody to be like, you're in the military. Put up with it. You're in the military. So what? Because looking at it from a military perspective, when you go down range, and as in down range, like when you go to a combat zone, the Taliban is not going to be like, "Oh, you want a second to kind of process your thoughts, bro, before I shoot you?" Yeah, for sure, please, So we kind of you kind of have to foster this environment for them, right, and grow tough skin, and obviously for other people.
And we get it, and I get it too. Like that's the environment of training. Like they're just now out of a civilian world into AIT, so like you're kind of still coaching them through it. Like, and I want to stay on the topic of
the self-doubt.
Because I feel like we keep going way off topic. This is something that I do want to we'll put a marker on it.
Yeah.
And I do want to come back to this military talk would love to talk about
Yeah.
emotions in the military, but I completely agree
Yeah.
with everything that you said. Like and it's like it shows a good leader. You know, it shows that you saw the capabilities that she has,
Right.
and then she's suffering from self-doubt, and that's where it's kind of like it's okay to doubt yourself if you're allowing that doubt to push you forward. But once you start doubting yourself to the point to where it's like
it's hindering your performance, like,
Yeah.
in life. Yeah.
yeah, you gotta be able to assess the difference between those levels of doubt.
Right. Because she was a good soldier. Like, I see her in BT, killing it, running everywhere, doing all, like, the exercises, everything, doing blah 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 blah. Never really made excuses, but at some point, everything caught up to her in her head. Right.
Yeah,
Her self doubt, killing her, hindering her performance, where it created like an opportunity to escape.
Yeah.
Right. If you stop, backtrack a little, look at how great you have come. Right. Look how far you have come, and then tell yourself like, no, we didn't come this far, and I'm pretty sure you've heard it before. To only come this far, right? It's true, bro. It's a fact. Like, it's that simple, and it's that common. Like, people say it all the time, but like, okay, then why don't you apply it? Why don't you use it, like with what you're doing, right? And but assess that, and you'll realize like, man, you have so much potential. You can do so much more. So stop saying like, no, he's better, right? Like, if I start comparing myself to you or somebody else that is my age too, and is probably doing better than me, you know what I mean? Like, it probably is because they were programmed in such a way to where they really believed in all the potential that they had, or it could have been their dad, could have been their mom, could have been a friend, could have been something, but they believed so hard, like that they were unstoppable, that they did like things, right? Their performance was better than mine's.
Yeah.
Right. And so if I'm getting to the age where now I'm starting to believe, like, my potential is limitless, I don't doubt myself. Now I'm starting, whether it be late or not, everybody has a different timeline, but like, that's the point. Stop hindering yourself. Stop doubting yourself. If you tell yourself you're too skinny and you can't go to the gym and because you tried it, right? Like, take a step back. Why didn't it work? Right? Worked out for a month.
Because I'm coming from the skinny side. Like, I started working out at like 145 pounds. I came off to where I couldn't even bench the bar. Like, I broke my wrist, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's the pain. I feel like that's the first off, it's the consistency. People can never stay consistent,
right?
Which leads into discipline. But it also is, are you willing to suffer and go through that pain of being sore? Like, I get it. Like, you're sore and you have to go to work.
Yeah.
Like, that's the problem. That's the reason why you don't want to get a six pack, is because you're sore. You want it to, like, it's not going to be easy.
Right.
And I think that's kind of like where it ties into being, you're self-doubting, like you're doubting yourself. So you're limiting yourself so much to a level of pain that you can't get this six pack, you can't get muscles, you can't gain weight, you can't lose weight because it's too painful. So now you're doubting yourself.
Yeah.
Because you're not willing to go through pain. And that's kind of like we said that on the last podcast too, is like, you have to be willing to struggle.
Right.
You have to be willing to go through pain. And if you don't, that's where the self-doubt comes in, because you've never been disciplined enough to push yourself to those limits.
Right.
You know?
Taking a different approach. And see, like, and that, like, self-doubt is also a reinforcement. You're reinforcing yourself and telling yourself like, no, I just can't. Like, I doubt myself, and those doubting thoughts reinforce, right, that no, I can't do it. I'm not going to be able to. Or, like, and maybe even like at a larger scale. I was raised in this area, and people from this area don't make it here, or like, don't get these things. No, that's BS. Like, stop doubting yourself. Stop reinforcing yourself. Stop telling yourself that is the way it works. Because the math is simple, right? Like, it's really simple. You have this potential. We're all given the same hand for the most part. You can too have what that person that you look up to has, or that person that you see on TV has. And that, like, ties into our next topic, right? Of swallowing disappointment, to take a minute to look around you and realize that this life that you have is not the life that you want, right? It's not the life that you want to settle for. You work for the life that you want, and you have to start immediately.
This is the number one thing about this topic. The number one thing that you just said is all about self-accountability. You have to be able, like you said, take a self back, self-assess. First off, for the younger people right now that are watching 18 and under, and you're in environment, and honestly, like even 25 and under, like right around this time, like we get it. We're not expecting everybody to be like, oh, you're supposed to be a millionaire. You're supposed to have all these every goal that you want. You're supposed to have it right now. But it's like, are you doing the right thing to get to there? And what we're talking about right now is if you're not even self-aware of saying, hey, I'm not waking up on time to get to my job 15 minutes early. Hey, I'm not going to the gym when I know I should be going to the gym. Hey, I'm not eating the right food when I know I should be eating the right food. I'm not tracking my finances like I should be tracking my finances. I'm not taking school serious because I'm still in high school and that's the only thing I have to do right now. I'm not respecting my family enough. Like all those things, like this all ties into being like you need to be self-aware, because if you're not self-aware with what you're doing right now, then in 5 years you might, because you have to start asking questions now. Because if you don't start at it, the first step forward is starting to ask yourself, what's wrong with yourself right now. You don't even need the answers to it, but if you're not even asking yourself, you'll never find the answers.
Right.
So
questioning everything.
You have to question everything, whether you're doing it right or wrong, and then that kind of what's the right route and what's the wrong route too, because you got to be able to assess. It's just assessment. You have to have assessment skills, and you have to use those assessment skills not only on other people but on yourself as well. And it's more important to use it on yourself. Because if you're not using it on yourself, then you're going to find yourself in positions where you should be in, because you're not asking yourself certain questions
that you have. Yeah. And that's like, it ties like going back to like our first, or one of the first topics we had, right? It's like talking to yourself, right? Like talking to yourself, pleasing yourself, putting yourself first, right? Talk to yourself. Literally sit down in the room and literally ask yourself questions like, why don't I have this? Or how can I have this? And then you go from there, right? It's that simple. You put yourself first, start questioning yourself, right? Holding yourself accountable, asking yourself those questions, and then you'll start to realize like you won't have the answers. You probably won't find the answers instantly, but you will find the answers. And it's better to question yourself and know why some things are wrong, or knowing that some things are wrong and you don't even have the answer, but at least you know that this something is wrong. Right, it's better than not even questioning it at all, just going through life through the motions, and then you're an adult, and before you know, like, damn, like, I wish I would have done that when I was younger. You know what I mean?
And I mean, it all goes into life lessons too. Like you can't know everything. Yeah. Right, and you're gonna learn a lesson over time, over things where you should have asked yourself this question while you're asking yourself other questions, but you just didn't even think about it because at that time you didn't know that was a question to ask yourself. So I get it, but to make it personal, experience is, and I've been telling you this a little bit, is like financially. Yeah. Right. I had a level of finances that I could have invested. Right. I could have created a business. I could have done something in which I did invest it a little bit differently than the way of getting a quick return or a certain return that I would want almost immediately that I could possibly do now. Yeah. But I have to hold myself accountable for the way I manage my finances. I think that's the biggest thing. That's one of my biggest life lessons, is how to manage finances. And I am angry, and this is kind of what we're talking about, is angry not being where we want to be at, is because I wasn't self-aware enough to understand how to manage this money, how to where to look to learn how to manage this money, where to look to grow with the money, instead of like, I know this is like a little knowledge that I think at this point you have to know. This is, if you keep your money in a savings account, you're losing money. Right. Especially right now with our inflation rate. Like, right, if you keep $100,000 in your bank, you're going to lose 9%, which is what, $9,000. So just for literally having your money in your bank account for a year, you just lost $9,000. Right. That's something I didn't know. Yeah. And I mean, it's something that I kind of understood, but I was like, okay, well, where else do you put it? Well, now, I mean, it just kind of depends how you want to put it. You could put it in real estate. You could put it into funds. You could put it into
stocks, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You have routes, but I didn't know necessarily how to get them into those routes, or I didn't know where to do them, and I didn't know exactly how to manage it, whether it comes to in versus out, and out versus in, like those kind of things. And so I'm angry now. Yeah. Like, it makes me, but it's not like I'm angry and I'm like holding like what would it be called, like a grudge against yourself? Yeah, not like it's kind of like I'm not holding a grudge. I'm not I don't regret it, right? Because I wouldn't have learned from it. But now I promise you, it's not going to happen again. And you have to use that level of anger as a level of a lesson,
right.
to grow.
That makes sense, right? Yeah, that makes sense. Be angry at yourself that you didn't do a certain something at a point in time in life where you could have, right? But not to a point where like you're beating yourself about it. More so, you're reminding yourself, hey, when this comes around again, or if I have another opportunity bigger than this, like I'll be angry enough to know that I messed up before in the past, and I'm not gonna let that happen again.
There's something I told one of my friends recently because we were talking about starting a business and stuff like that, and he's like giving me like his business idea, and he asked what did I think about it. And I was like, yo, I love the idea. I was like, honestly, I'm more scared of saying no than I am of saying yes, and that's kind of like where I've gotten to. I've held myself so accountable that like I say I want to do all these things. I say I want to be where I want to be at in life, and I have these values of what I think life is. And if I'm not learning and I'm not growing to put myself in that environment, then I'm scared that I'm like, man, am I really, that goes back to like the self-doubt. Like, am I really not able to do these things? So that's where I'm saying, like, I'm more afraid of saying no than I am of saying yes.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And like, like part of this topic is like working for the life that you want, right? And starting immediately. I wish that like what I know now, I would have learned when I was younger. And honestly, you can ask like entrepreneurs that you know in your area, or any friend that's making it big or whatever, like like somebody who you deem as like a very successful person. You can ask them like, what is one thing that you wish you could have done differently? And to be honest, 99% of them, I was like, like a good 97%, 0.25, whatever, right? Like are gonna say, I wish I would have done it when I was younger, right? And the only reason why they couldn't is because they didn't have that knowledge.
They weren't asking themselves those questions.
Right. They weren't asking themselves those questions. It's like, it's either someone tells you or you ask yourself those questions internally. Then you start looking for those answers, and then you will get the education yourself. You will get that knowledge yourself, and you'll be able to apply it early, right? Because honestly, like, that's the one thing in life we can't get back is time, right? And that's why everybody regrets not doing something when they were younger or earlier, right? Which at one point, everybody says like, I don't regret it because everything is, if I was younger, I would have not learned how to manage this money, or if I was younger, I would not learn how to, buy this car or whatever, which is true, right? Yeah. But if you would have had access to that knowledge, if you would have asked yourself those questions earlier, then you would have probably known how to, so it's like.
I definitely agree with that, like, it's not about the regret of how I manage my finances or anything like that. But if I could teach myself one thing, and I wish that, like, if anybody's listening right now, that it's something that could resonate with them, is I wish I had this mentality that I have now when I was 20 years old. Yeah. Probably would be in such a different place.
No, trust me, I agree. Same here. That's what I'm saying. Like, start immediately. Like, if you're into cars and you want to build cars and you're in junior high, if you're watching this, you're in junior high, you're in elementary, you're in 5th grade, like, start looking at the cars now. Start watching YouTube videos.
Start asking yourself what you value of a man is.
Right.
Like, really, and I know, like, it's kind of hard because at a certain age, you
still want to enjoy your
childhood.
Right.
You want to enjoy a childhood. But I mean, I think if I were to say a number, it'd probably be 17. Yeah. Was where I should have started. Like, legit.
That's a good number. That's a good age. I mean, I mean, we have a friend, right, in common, who was watching real estate videos at 14, right, after doing his homework every night, and now he's like, I would like to say he's successful. Like, he owns like some real estate. He does real estate flips. He has his own company and blah blah blah. Like, but that's different. Yeah. As when he was watching real estate videos, I was watching, I don't know, probably like Messi and CR7. Like, hat tricks and stuff like that. Yeah. But so yeah, I know, like, that's a good point that you bring up. And like tying into like our next topic, which is the longer you wait, the longer your success will take. Right. You either settle for the life that you get, or you work for the life that you want.
Yeah. So. That kind of goes perfect what we just said. And I also want to add to that is, do not make excuses that whatever you were raised in and whatever environment you grew up in, that is, I get it, it's not your fault, but it's your fault if you stay in that environment. There's nothing that is going to hold you back other than yourself. And I think that is what a lot of people don't hear, and it's the truth. Yep. And we don't want to hear the truth because the truth hurts. But I promise you, if you're 30 years old and you're still living in an environment that you were raised in, you had almost 15 years to get out of that environment.
Yeah, that's true.
And there's a reason why you're still in that environment, and you're pointing fingers and you're not asking yourself the questions of why you're still in that environment.
Right. And I see a lot of people like they may have siblings or they have like a cousin like, oh man, like, I feel bad for my brother, or I feel bad for my cousin, and he doesn't have his house, or he doesn't have this car, and like, and I'm X years old, I'm younger than them, and I have this and I'm that, and I'm like, why do you feel bad? They had more years than you to question themselves, to to acquire this knowledge, but they didn't do it. So why do you feel bad? Like, doesn't make sense. But so yeah, it's like
And a good thing about the military, right, is especially for younger kids, and the reason why I keep saying younger kids is because there is kind of an age limit. But if your goal in life is to have a house, right? Say that's your goal in life, and you're 17 years old. What is the quickest way you could think of right now is to being able to get a house?
Rent it, bro.
No, like in your name. Like, you go buy a house in your name with the idea of the next few years as a 17-year-old. Come on, you gotta know this one. It's easy.
How to acquire the house?
How to acquire it, yeah. Not necessarily full cash, but to go get a loan to get the house.
Yeah.
And
get a loan, get pre-approved, but have a cosigner or what?
Join the military.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Bro, like I think like people see how like it is mind blowing to me that people like sit there and be like, well, the government paid for your house, and I'm like, whoa, the government didn't pay for anything out of my house. I'm the one that's working for my paycheck.
That's true. See, now you making me feel dumb, bro.
No, but
that's true. But see,
people see the routes that it takes to get to somewhere, but they make an excuse of why that person did it and they can't do it.
It's also lack of knowledge. You see, like, because you just made me think right now. Did I know that when I was 17, when I joined the military? I didn't. I'll be honest with you. All I heard, like, the biggest piece of knowledge that I had from the military at the time from joining was like, you'll get health benefits and you'll get school paid for. I completely forgot about like the real estate portion side piece.
And I'm not saying at 17 years old go get a house.
Yeah.
It is. What does our friend say? The best time to buy real estate was yesterday.
The best time to buy real estate was yesterday.
But that I was just trying to make an example of the routes.
So. Yeah. No, which is true. Like that's a really good point. The opportunities are there, right? And then to my point, my only rebuttal is like, the reason why you're not there is your lack of knowledge. But why do you not have that knowledge? Because you haven't questioned yourself. Why don't I have the knowledge? You know what I mean? Where can I go get it? And then you'll know that those opportunities are there. Because I like, truthfully, I didn't know. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. I didn't know that. Like that real estate portion, I was like, man, I'm gonna get health benefits. I can go to school for free.
I think that's like your recruiter. Recruiter says, "Hey, you get a VA loan." Yeah.
But, my recruiter said you can get a Camaro. A brand new Camaro. So I was like, okay, yeah, But that's the reality. Like the lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
And man, like, we'll finish off here and merge it with our last topic, which is growing up. Or many people say that what you don't know doesn't hurt you, but sometimes what you don't know does hurt you. All right, and that's
perfect. That is, dude.
It's exactly
all flowing. This is crazy.
It's exactly what I'm saying right now, guys. Like, you're growing up, and your parents are like, maybe it's your parents, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's an uncle. Who knows, right? They're like, man, you don't need to know that right now. Why not? Teach me now. So by the time you get to that point where you need to apply it, you know it, and it doesn't hurt you, right? Like, I'm gonna use my little sister for example, and she was like, she's young, she's doing well for herself, you know what I mean? She's very business oriented and all this stuff, but she lacks some knowledge, not only like from life, right? But that entrepreneur side as well, and she is so caught up in the thought of like, I need to buy a house, and if I don't buy a house, I'm a failure. Or if I don't buy a house, like, I haven't really made it. And I told her, I'm like, okay, so let's do some math, right? I was like, let's do some math. Let's really look at it. I was like, why don't you go get yourself a nice apartment? And I know I'm about to get a bunch of gurus going crazy right now, right? But I was like, why don't you go get yourself an apartment? You'll save so much more money. I was like, because you don't know the liabilities that come when buying a house. Even though a house is an asset, yes, and you're getting equity. Yes.
Depending how, so yeah.
Depending, right? See how it's sparking you.
I understand.
So like, depending on
but I understand going to get an apartment, it could be better than buying a house.
Right. Like,
so I don't know if that's what you were saying.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Because like,
agree.
Depending on that person's financial stance, like you may be better off buying a house rather than putting yourself in a position where you have this obligation that you can barely afford. Like,
what?
Well, like when you buy a house, right? Because when you purchase a house, your mortgage payment is your minimum that you will pay.
Yeah.
Right. When you rent a place, when you rent a house, you rent an apartment, that's the maximum that you will pay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so like, but people don't think about that. You know, I have friends, a lot of people that own like homes and they have their homes like, oh man, like my taxes went up, or you know, like my insurance premium is different, and like my mortgage payment is looking a little here, blah blah blah. And which I knew that before I bought a home. Like, man, I was deep diving, going into all kinds of stuff that I needed to know, right? Because I was like, I don't want to jump in and get a mortgage, you know, completed my dream. I'm a successful person by the eyes of society, but now I'm stuck with a payment that I can't afford. You know, I didn't want to be that person. I was like, there's no way. I was like, if the numbers make sense, if I crunch the numbers and they make sense, I'm going to do it. And that's why I say, like, what you don't know really does hurt you, right? If my other sister was to just go and like, whatever, I'm going to get a job at McDonald's. I got a W-2 now. I have a decent, you know, like credit score. I'm going to go get pre-approved and buy a house. And now she has this mortgage. And before she knows it, boom, taxes, boom, PMI, boom, like home insurance, you know, starts coming at her.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh shit, I actually cannot afford it. She'll be making way more money. She'll be able to even allocate that money somewhere else if she gets like a 1-bedroom studio that's like really nice. Let's just say $1,000 a month, you know what I mean? And she has all this extra income that she can use to save for eventually, you know, like maybe a house that she can't afford.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I personally know like millionaires that don't even buy. They buy real estate for like investment, but they themselves rent, which is crazy, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's like my main point, to where like sometimes what you don't know does hurt you.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think, you know, to make it quick, because I don't know, like you said it perfectly.
Yeah.
You know, it just all ties into being self-aware, being self-accountable. You have to make sure you're asking yourself the right questions. Everything like that. Like I think if you don't know something, it is up to you to find that information. Nobody's gonna come and give you the information. You might there might be information that comes to you,
right?
But that's surrounding yourself in the right circle. You know, that's asking yourself the right questions, going to find the right questions. You know, but it's up to you to get that information. I think that's like the biggest thing with our society is we're all expecting a handout.
Right.
We're all expecting this crazy reward at the end of our lives, or like a certain point of our lives. We're all expecting this, and I think that stems from like participation awards and all these kind of things that
you're used to, and like
that we're used to as kids, and now we're transitioning away from kids into an actual adults. Like I think when you're like 21, 25. My craziest transition is really 24 to 25.
Yeah.
And I think 25 to 26 is going to be insane.
Yeah.
But it's not like the age factor. I think it's the amount of knowledge and the amount of experience that I've had in the last few years, bro. It's like, it feels like every week is a fucking year, dude. I think that's the first time I've cussed this entire stream, because that's how serious it is. Like it's just crazy. And I think it's because I'm asking myself all these questions now. I'm trying to find it. I'm trying to find the right people.
Right.
You know, I would say right now, my friend group is a solid 3 people.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll discuss it with you after all this. But, you know, I think that just is, you know, that's a perfect way to sum that whole.
Summarize that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I'm with you. I'm with you on that. I agree. Man, I can't reiterate or say it enough or stress it enough. Like, Go learn what you don't know, right? Like go deep dive into things that you question or things that you like want really bad. Go learn. Go see if you like it. If you don't like it, there's something else, right? But you don't want it to come back as an adult, or even if you're 18 years old, right? And you don't want to have it come back at you when you're 25. And I think it could be so simple. The things could be so simple, like changing a tire. And I think me and him were having this conversation before the podcast. You know, like there's some people, I've met some people in the military, right, as well, that didn't know how to change a tire. They were never taught how to change a tire. They also never questioned themselves like, how do you change a tire? You know what I mean? Like in case it happens to me. And it blows my mind, because I'm like, how can you be 25, 26, maybe 28 and you don't know how to change a tire? Like what happens if you're married, your wife is calling you, she's like, oh babe, I need my tire changed, I have flat. Call the insurance, because I don't know how to change the tire.
And then like, it's part of being a man, like that. And so to kind of go like same scenario is like, you know, I think that's kind of like, if you're a kid and you don't know those things, you should go ask your father how to do it.
Right.
And then at a certain point, like you got to understand, you're going to be that father that's going to be like, one day you will no longer be the student. You will end up being the teacher at some point in your life, and that's what part of being a man will become. And it's if you don't get the knowledge of the things you don't know, how are you going to teach your sons, your daughters, your wives, anything like that? Like, you know, so, you know, that's just kind of like how I view what you're saying about changing the tires. It's kind of crazy to me that a parent wouldn't teach their kid how to do that in the first place.
Yeah.
Then it's like, true. Well, maybe that parent never got taught that by his parent whenever he was a kid, so he didn't have the tools to teach his kids.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So
that's true. Yeah, I mean, like I'm gonna pitch in here, like right from like coming and if you're Hispanic and Latino and your parents are immigrant, I'm gonna steal the stage for a little bit, right? Like I hate it so much when these first generation kids, even second generation kids, right, that have parents that came here illegally and blah blah blah, they're like, oh well, my parent, like my dad and my mom never taught me this. Okay, so then you go and figure it out. You know what I mean? Like they're coming from a different country where the education level is already down here. If they made it to a point where
the United States is catching up.
That's true.
I'm sorry.
And they made it here. You know, they made it this far to where with the education that they have, you know what I mean? They made it this far to get you into a decent school, or to get you into school, to get you a car, to get themselves a house, whether it's a mobile home or you know, like an apartment or a house. And you're making up all these excuses as you're growing up, like, oh well, they never taught me, or they never showed me. They're like, okay, cool, I get it. Up to a certain point, valid. You know, they didn't teach you. But as you start adopting, you know, your own approach to life, and you become an adult, as you're starting 17 years old, 16 years old, you can't point fingers no longer. You know what I mean? You cannot. If I would have did that in my life, I promise you I would not be where I am today, and everything would be so different for me. Oh, you know, my mom never taught me, or my dad. So yeah, I'm just gonna leave it like that. It's easier to blame than to do. You know what I mean? So, like, guys, if that is you, if you're watching this podcast, coming from, you know, like a family that came here as immigrants, and you're born here, you're already in the only place the only country in the world where you can come broke and then become a millionaire. It's a fact. Go do some research. I promise you, it's a fact. So yeah, no, I just wanted to tee off what you said.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And the only reason why I'll make it really short too is to make a perfect example, because I see it from my eyes, not from like a personal experience. I guess it's kind of a personal experience, but it's like if you like, I went to Egypt. And the way they drive on the roads are insane, bro. No such thing as like street signs, anything like that. Like
just zoom in,
and it's like, bro, you're packed. It's like little sardine cans with cars. There's no lines. People are just going crazy like that. And what you're saying, what you're referring to is, if you're an immigrant and you're coming to this country, you cannot drive like that.
Yeah.
But the way I would kind of interpret it is, if you don't have the ability to adapt and to change into that culture, and you're remaining and you're keeping yourself in this culture without taking advantage of coming to this country and progressing your life, that is no longer anybody else's fault but your fault, because you're saying, like, you know, like, oh, my parents didn't teach me this, my parents didn't teach it. Well, it's your opportunity, it's your job now to learn yourself, and to get yourself in that next environment.
Exactly.
But I think is that it for today?
Or? That's it for today, guys.
I do have one special thing that I've been holding this in, and I was supposed to say in the very beginning. Maybe we'll add this in the beginning. And this is coming from a really good friend of mine. He has his own podcast. It's the guy I've been talking to you about. And his is called Superhero or Sidekick.
Okay.
And I want to ask you, do you think you're a superhero or a sidekick?
Where?
And why?
In life?
In life.
I mean, of course I'm gonna say I'm a superhero, bro. Come on now. No, I think that's a good question. I think I'm a superhero. I'm not gonna lie. Because the things, I mean, like let's go off of like, try to define like what a sidekick does, right? He's kind of like the assistant to the main superhero.
This man said, don't.
You know what I mean? Like, and I feel like in my life, I didn't really have that assistance. I don't need a pity story or anything. You know, I'm not being petty or anything. I did not have like people, hey, take this. Here's the tools, right? Because like the sidekick usually has that provided by the superhero. Like, here, I got you. Here's some extra stuff. You know? Superhero usually has to either build that stuff by himself or jump in a pool full of acid, gives him powers, you know, like, and I use that as like a metaphor. I jumped in a pool full of acid throughout my whole life, right, to come out stronger. But I took that risk. I was like, either I die or this acid makes me cool, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And and yeah, that's why I think I'm the superhero in my life. I think I'm the superhero, bro, because of the things that I've done. Right. I will say, if things were a little different in my life, right, where I did have the opportunity to where maybe my mother was in a better position to give me the tools that I needed, or my father, or maybe my brothers, my sisters, right, then I'd probably say I was a sidekick. It would be fair to say I was a sidekick, but I don't think so. I like deeply believe that like what I have accomplished is on my own. Like, it's a fact, and they know it too. So if they're watching, if y'all watching, y'all know it's a fact, right? And for that reason, I am a superhero, bro. That's why I got a cape. I got a cape behind me. I can't see it, but it's behind me.
He has it on him.
You know what I mean?
I think a superhero fits you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got the superhero look.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nah, but that's it, guys, for today. Thanks for tuning in to episode 2 of The Vault. We have so much more content coming out. I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. And we'll see you guys on the next episode of The Vault.
Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share. We love all those comments. We love the feedback. Let us know if you want any topics that you would like to cover.
Yes. Drop in the comments. Whatever you guys want to either want us to dive in or deep dive or poke or whatever. Drop in the comments any topic and we'll touch it. All right, guys. Have a good one. Peace.